welcome back to my chart ruler series. Okay, so in today's video I am going to be discussing the Gemini rising chart ruler. Firstly, before we do get into this, if you do not know what the chart ruler is within astrology, then I would like to kindly point you into the direction of my introduction to the chart ruler video. Just watch that video in order to get more details. Right, so let's just jump right in here. By having a Gemini rising, this means that Mercury is going to be your chart ruler, meaning that you are going to enter into all areas of your life through this lens, through the lens that is Gemini. I am going to be discussing then the meaning of Mercury to begin with, followed by the role that Mercury will play in your life if you do have a Gemini rising. Then we're going to be finishing off by assessing how then you can interpret your own Mercury placement within your chart. For more information all about Mercury though, then please be sure to check out my Mercury in Astrology video. The symbol of Mercury, it actually shows the circle. Okay, there's a circle meaning the symbol of spirit, as I stated in the Leo rising chart ruler video. So it's connected with the sun. Then on top of that circle there is a little crescent. This crescent then symbolizes the uplifted personality, as I stated in the Cancer rising chart ruler video. So this representing the moon. Okay, so we got the sun symbolism here, the moon symbolism here, but then there is also a cross just below the circle. There's a cross. I am fully aware that I could just show you images of the symbols, but I like to use my hands. Okay, Gemini midheaven here. But this cross essentially symbolizes Earth manifestation. This, in a sense, is both the masculine and the feminine energies being brought together as they both manifest themselves onto Earth. So the masculine being the circle and the feminine being the crescent. I find this to be quite interesting because whilst the brain mechanism is really related to our automatic responses, the brain mechanisms are connected then to the moon, but yet it's the mind that is associated with Mercury. Therefore, it's Mercury that is linked to our intellect, to our intelligence. And this is exactly why Hermes, lovely Hermes, is associated with Mercury as well, because it was Hermes who delivered messages to the gods, just like Mercury delivers messages to us. And it's also why Mercury rules the nervous system within astrology. It's this planet of Mercury that really links our higher understanding to our everyday reality between our conscious and our unconscious selves. So the sun being the conscious self and then the moon being the unconscious self. So as we are living in our reality, we are taking in all of the information around us, and what we're doing is we're processing it continuously, both consciously and unconsciously, just like we are also processing what's happening inside of us. It's all of this outside, inside, just connectivity, processing information that's going on in just one given moment. So it's Mercury's job to then work really, really fast in order to grasp certain concepts so that we can then learn, grow, and also progress. And it's due to Mercury's speed that makes this planet to be highly adaptable and versatile, but at the same time extremely changeable and fickle. And just like the mind itself can be the trickster, so is Mercury. Sure, yes, our intellect enables us to be objective, but much too often than not, it can trick us by twisting the facts to suit anything that we wish to justify. So whilst, yes, the mind can provide us with an ability to expand our consciousness, helping us form a much greater awareness, it can also seem like it's trapping us. It can sort of corner us. I actually remember hearing somebody refer to the mind as the worst prison to ever be in. Being a prisoner of the mind, I think, is a very powerful statement to make. In some ways this is true because the mind really can trick us from really reaching out to understand other people and ourselves as well. Though whether or not it's the worst prison, I'm not so sure about that. I think being in a physical prison would be really quite horrible. But ultimately, everybody, it is through reason that man has the freedom of choice and is responsible for one's own actions. So there is freedom after all, right? But how would we understand if we are free if not for the limitations, I guess? It's truly about becoming aware off our divine origin and off our full potential. Now, of course, Mercury does rule both Gemini and Virgo, but whilst the Gemini Mercury is more restless and changeable, it's the Virgo Mercury that is more about reasoning with purpose, and it's more precise. The Gemini Mercury is about piecing the information together and relating them to one another, okay? So really connecting all of the information. But it's the Virgo Mercury that is more about dissecting. It likes to dissect and pull apart the information piece by piece. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, now let's discuss what role Mercury will play in your life if you have a Gemini rising. By having a Gemini rising, your story is lived out by pursuing knowledge for knowledge's sake, by taking in a limitless amount of information, forever receiving messages and just spitballing them back out. You'll probably go your whole life just seeking knowledge and engaging with others because it's these things that really stimulate you. On that note though, not all of you are going to be these chatterboxes. But just because the mouth ain't moving, it doesn't mean the mind ain't moving. It's just like this hurricane, this complete hurricane of thoughts whirling around in there. And how you articulate your words, it's going to be very effective, provided that you don't get too impatient with the discussion at hand and then just want to move on to the next thing. A great way actually to get out all of your thoughts is to try recording yourself as you speak. I actually know someone who goes for walks outside whilst they do record themselves communicating their thoughts really out loud. I do suggest this because I find that whenever you do, you have all your thoughts going, right? But whenever you speak it out loud, whenever you just project it out, you hear that, you sort of process that as an observer again, and then it starts to make sense, or you think, oh, why did I even think that, right? It's quite funny how the mind can work like that. Another way is to try perhaps writing in a journal. You know, if you're maybe more of a quieter Gemini rising and you're not so much of a talker, then writing would be great. And you're actually probably going to be very good at writing. Furthermore, by having a Gemini rising, you were probably the first to walk or talk out of all of your classmates or your peers. The kid that would just constantly ask things like, oh, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's this? You know, like Jack from The Nightmare Before Christmas, you know, when he's going into the North Pole and he's just like, wow, snow, I've never seen snow before, I've never seen this before, and he just keeps grabbing everything and saying, what's this, what's this, there's people everywhere, what's this, what's this? But yes, you're just gonna be bouncing from one object to the next, darting your eyes from one corner of the room to the next. You are going to be absorbing all of the information like a sponge. For you, maybe you grew up in a home where there was just so much conversation happening. Maybe your parents really even instilled in you the importance of learning, and they conditioned you to constantly utilize your mind. Perhaps you were known as the smart kid or the geek or the nerd in school, or maybe your parents were quite witty, quite funny. These are just a couple of things that might have occurred in your life growing up. For you Gemini risings, people who can't hold a good conversation, people who don't make you laugh, who aren't overly interesting in your eyes, well, they're just simply boring. So why waste your time, right? You're just gonna be sitting there and suddenly you just start laughing. You just start laughing out loud and other people are looking at you like, where'd that come from? And you're sitting there like, oh, nothing. It's just a memory that I had, and next thing you know, you're just talking like the memory. This is what happened and that's what happened and ha ha ha. But then the next thing you know, you're thinking of something so dark or strange, just at the switch, the click of a button almost. Others just get so dizzy looking at you. They're asking themselves, who am I even dealing with today? And that's just the thing, because whilst you're there, you're also not there at the same time. It's you who has the ability to shift between these two characters, that you can even almost get mixed up in which character you're playing, causing you to contradict yourself a lot. You can contradict yourself a lot. And then people might catch you out on a couple of things and what you say, or maybe you didn't say. Others might even perhaps hold you accountable for this very reason. But you'll say, well, I thought this thing at the moment, but this is a whole new moment. What's the problem? But some people, Gemini risings, some people might not see it this way. And I get it, yes, all your life it's been about adaptability and understanding that by being versatile you can get that chocolate bar that your parents didn't want you to have. You've really learned how to play the game, Gemini. But which character are you playing? Clear-headed sane one, or the crazy insane one? The jackal or the hide? And yes, I know, what if the sane ones are actually the crazy ones? Aren't we all a little mad anyway, as the Mad Hatter did say? But, Gemini risings, there are other people in the game to consider, and without them, would you even be playing? You can shift and change into playing different roles, but keep in mind that even Johnny Depp, the master of, you know, playing all these different characters and getting into all of these costumes, even he must take off his costume once the movie is over. Or maybe it's that you don't want the movie to ever end. Who knows? It's just all of these things that make your entire life seem like you're on this merry-go-round. You're so on this merry-go-round of just pure stimulation. Therefore, by having a Gemini rising, your life is going to be about learning how to just manage all of that mental energy that you possess. Learning to really focus that energy. Learning how to center yourself in the situations. How to stabilize yourself rather than getting swept away by your thoughts. But still, you're going to go throughout your life forever learning. And this is a huge lesson that we can all learn from Gemini, and that is the ability to keep learning. As a wise man once did say, true knowledge comes from accepting that we know nothing. Therefore, you gotta keep learning. Keep learning, never stop. And trust me, these Geminis, they don't stop learning. Alright, so now we have established what Mercury represents and the role that it plays in your life. How exactly can you interpret your Mercury placement in your birth chart? After all, the placement of Mercury is going to play an extremely important role in your life. Now, whichever sign your Mercury is in will tell you how you go about learning or gaining knowledge for knowledge's sake, how you pick up things and you learn them, how this duality plays out for you, and how you essentially communicate. But whichever house your Mercury is placed, it will tell you where you live out your life gaining knowledge for knowledge's sake, where you pick up things and learn them, where this duality plays out, and where you will or can make a great communicator. So let's discuss a couple of examples, because I love using examples and experiences that I've had. Also on that note, just feel free to let me know in the comment section any experiences that you've had with any Gemini risings, or if you are a Gemini rising, that would be great. So I know a guy who has a Gemini rising and his Mercury is in the sign of Cancer and it's in his 3rd house. What I find to be quite interesting about this placement is that Mercury is in the 3rd house, because essentially Mercury rules the 3rd house within astrology, so it's home here. It feels nice here. This placement is going to have a somewhat positive effect on this person's intelligence for a start, okay? But because his Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, it does suggest that they might think more deeply, or it's that they sort of process their thoughts through the feeling, so to speak. Does suggest that this person's going to be a great listener who possesses an amazing memory. They will particularly remember the feeling that comes from the memory. They might actually go throughout their lives, their whole lives, just picking up on all of this knowledge almost intuitively, whilst possessing the ability to remember a lot of the knowledge that they learn along the way. And what's also interesting is that I met this guy a few months back whenever he was visiting Ireland. So he lives in England. So he was essentially taking a short trip, right? A short trip to Ireland. And what's interesting further is that he's been taking many trips recently, and I feel like he's taken more short trips in his life than longer trips, because I even remember discussing travel with him, and I was saying about, oh well, I've been to Central America, I've been to Canada, I've been to Australia, and I was asking him about his trips, and it was very much more European destinations that he's been to, really more than anything. So I can see the difference between my kind of Jupiterian long distance travel and his Mercurian short distance travel. And I do think he gets really inspired from these trips, and he did say that also he would like to write a book one day, but he holds himself back. I remember talking to him about this, and he was just like, oh well, everybody wants to write a book, don't they? Yeah, everybody wants to do that. And I just think it's just him being afraid. I think he would make a great writer, but it's just to get that going for him, perhaps. Maybe he doesn't know how to articulate really what he wants to say, in fear of how it might sound. But for him, I do think it's about learning best from his experiences, you know? From his experiences from these short trips, even from his siblings, from his peers. He actually used to live up north, up in the north of England, and then he moved down south, but he's told me that he visits his family quite regularly. And for him, he really values his family. So he values his nieces and his nephews, and family just plays a huge part in his life. Another example I would like to talk about is actually from someone who commented on one of my videos the other day, so you know who you are. So she has a Gemini rising, her Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius, and it's in her 7th house. What I see here is that she's going to be a person who wants to communicate all of her scattered ideas with other people, but it's these ideas that are big ideas, really big, because this is Mercury and Sagittarius we're talking about. You know, thinking about things on a much wider scale. So for her, it's really about the vision. And she's going to learn best, I think, when given the freedom to think and choose for herself. However, the challenge here is that whilst she does require the freedom to think for herself, she also wants to communicate these thoughts, ideas, and concepts with others, especially her partner, because of course this is Mercury in her 7th house. So for her, it's as though she's seeking this mental stimulation for both parties involved. Perhaps her life story is about seeking a person who is truly on her level mentally and can really understand all of those fluttered thoughts or the fluttered mind that she possesses. Someone who admires her enthusiasm and someone who doesn't mind having a good debate. Perhaps someone who wants to learn about the world with her, who can view the bigger picture, or perhaps maybe see the smaller details, further enhancing that really wild curiosity that she has more and more and more. Okay guys, so that concludes my video on the Gemini rising chart ruler. In the next video then, I am going to be talking about the Virgo rising chart ruler. Okay, so if you would like to keep updated with that video and you've not yet subscribed, then go ahead and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!